Dear students, today we will study the next topic of chapter 13, that is sound needs a medium for propagation. Propagation means for its traveling. Whenever we are calling up our friend who is standing at a distance, how he or she is able to hear our sound? Definitely because sound has traveled to her or him. So how sound travels? So firstly we will study about activity 13.7. In this activity we have to take a glass tumbler or any metal tumbler. Then we should make sure that it should be completely dry. Then we will put a cell phone in this tumbler, and we will ask our another friend to make a ring on this cell phone which is kept in the tumbler. Now what happens? We are definitely able to hear the sound of the ring of the cell phone. Now we will place our hand around the mouth, or we can say rim of the tumbler, and through mouth we will try to suck out all the air which is present inside the tumbler. As soon as, or as we suck out the air from the tumbler, we come to the conclusion that with decreasing air in the tumbler, the loudness of the ring also decreases. So this activity proves that presence of air is necessary for the propagation or for the traveling of the sound. So we come to know that sound cannot travel through vacuum. Vacuum means where there is no air. It always requires some medium, that may be air, that may be some liquid or solid for its propagation. Now there is activity 13.8. In this activity it is proved that sound can also travel through the liquid. We have to take a bucket and a bathtub. We can take anything. Now we will fill it with clean water, and now we will place a bell inside this water which is held in our hand. Now shake this bell inside the water to produce sound, and gently place your ear on the upper side of the water. You will be able to hear the sound of this bell. So this activity proves that water also help in yeah, or we can say water also act like a medium for the propagation of sound. In the same way, whales, dolphins also communicate with each other inside the water. Now there is another activity 13.9 which is given to prove that sound can also travel through the solids. In this activity what we have to do, we have to take a meter scale or a long metal rod and hold its one end to our ear. Now ask your another friend to gently scratch or tap at the other end of the scale. Are you able to hear the sound? Definitely we are able to hear the sound at the other end. In the same way, there is given on next page. Here two children are standing at the two corners of a table. One is having his ear near the table, and the second one is scratching or making some sound from the other end. We will be able to hear this sound. So this activity also proves that sound can also travel through the solid. So all these activities, in the same way a toy telephone, when we are speaking, the other person is also able to hear in the same way, because sound can travel through the solid. So from these different activities we come to know that sound can travel through air, solid or liquid. So we can say the sound produced by a vibrating object travels through a medium to a listener. This medium can be some solid, liquid or gas. And as we know, sound is produced by the vibration of an object. So when an object vibrates, the particles around the medium vibrate. Now how this wave of sound is transferred to the neighboring part. So when an object vibrates, the particles around the medium also vibrate. The particle in contact with the vibrating object is first displaced from its equilibrium position. It then exerts a force on the adjacent particle, and the adjacent particle further displaced from its position of rest. After displacing the adjacent particle, the first particle comes back to its original position. This whole process repeats, and in this way the sound reaches to the ear. The disturbance produced by the vibrating body travels through the medium, but the particles do not move forward themselves. So we can say a wave or a sound wave is a disturbance which moves through a medium by the vibration of the particles of the medium. So we can say why medium is required for the propagation of sound, because the particles of the medium help in transferring the sound from one place to another. So sound is considered as a wave. Since sound waves are produced due to the vibration of particles of the medium, sound waves are also called mechanical waves. Now, how sound travels through air. Air is the most common medium through which sound travels. When a vibrating object moves forward, it pushes and compresses the air in front of it, forming a region of high pressure called compression. So as you can see in this diagram, compression is a region of high pressure. The compression moves away from the vibrating object. When the vibrating object moves backward, it forms a region of low pressure called rarefaction. So we can say during the traveling of sound wave, these compression and rarefactions are produced. As the object moves to and fro rapidly, it produces a series of compressions and rarefactions in the air, which makes the sound to propagate in the medium. So we can say through air or any medium, sound is propagated through a series of compressions and rarefactions, and in this way these mediums help in the propagation of sound. Here is shown tuning fork. When tuning fork vibrates, it transfers the sound in the form of compressions and rarefactions. Now sound, here is given an activity which proves that sound needs a medium to travel. Sound is a mechanical wave. Why it is called mechanical wave? Because it needs any medium for its traveling. It can travel through solids, liquids or gases, and sound does not travel, as we have studied in vacuum. Vacuum means where there is no air. Now in this activity, what is given, we have to suspend an electric bell in an airtight bell jar. Now we will connect this bell jar to a vacuum pump. If the switch is pressed, we can hear the sound of the bell. If air is pumped out, means we have to create the condition of vacuum. When we take out all the air from this bell jar with the help of the vacuum pump, we come to know that we can't hear the sound. So this activity proves that sound cannot travel through the vacuum. It always requires some medium for its propagation. Now sound waves are also longitudinal waves. You should know what are longitudinal waves. As we studied that sound propagates in a medium as a series of compressions and rarefactions. In these waves, the particles move back and forth parallel to the direction of propagation of the disturbance. So such type of waves in which particles move back and forth parallel to the direction of propagation of the disturbance are called longitudinal waves. Actually waves are of two types, longitudinal waves and transverse waves. Longitudinal waves are those waves in which the particles move back and forth parallel to the direction of propagation of the disturbance, and in transverse waves the particles oscillates up and down perpendicular to the propagation of the direction of disturbance. It means in longitudinal wave the direction of motion of the particles and the disturbance is same, as you can see. Here is given an activity. We have to stretch a slinky and push and pull it alternatively at one, and if we mark a dot on the slinky, the dot moves back and forth parallel to the direction. And here is shown a spring. In this type of we can say this type of disturbance we can see in this spring, where there is a series of compressions and rarefaction. So we can say that sound travels through a medium in the form of compressions. Compression means when the particles are closer to each other, and in the form of rarefaction means when the particles are away from each other. This is the graphical representation of sound wave. As you can say, here is given a series of compression and rarefaction. The distance between two consecutive compressions or rarefaction is called the wavelength. So you should know what is wavelength. Wavelength means the distance between two consecutive compressions or two consecutive rarefaction is called wavelength and it is denoted by lambda. I will show you in next how we calculate the speed of the sound. So from this topic we come to know that sound needs any medium, that may be solid, liquid or gas, for its propagation, and the speed of sound is highest in case of solid. Now speed of a sound depends on these factors like elasticity. What is elasticity? The ability of an object or material to resume its normal shape after being stretched or compressed is called elasticity. As you know, rubber band is highly elastic. In the same way, it also depends on the density of the medium through which it propagates. If the medium is more denser, it means the speed of the sound is higher. That's why the speed of sound is highest in case of solids. Here it is also written in case of air, it also depends upon the temperature of air. The speed of sound in air is about 330 meter per second and speed of sound through water is about 1500 meter per second. And from the conclusion or from the we come to know that the speed of sound is highest in solid, then liquid, and lastly in gases. So we can say sound travels more fastly in case of solid and the speed of sound is very less in case of gases. Now what is the relationship between speed, frequency and wavelength? Wavelength, as I told you, is the distance between two consecutive compressions or rarefaction, and we have calculated the formula: speed is equal to wavelength into frequency. Speed is denoted by v, wavelength is denoted by lambda, and frequency hertz, it is a type of some like v. So we can know that speed is equal to wavelength into frequency. Now speed of light versus sound. The speed of sound in air is about 330 meter per second, whereas the speed of light in air is about 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. During a thunderstorm, you have seen, firstly we see the flash of light and later on we hear the sound of thunder. Why we see the light? Firstly, because the speed of light is much higher than the speed of sound. The speed of light is about 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second, whereas the speed of sound in air is about 330 meter per second, which is very less. Due to this large difference between the speed of light and sound, that's why we, during a thunderstorm, we see the flash of light firstly and then we hear the thunder sound. I hope you have understood this topic. Thank you very much.